Imagine this scenario for a second. You work a grueling 9-to-5 job, grinding away day after day, week after week. You save every spare penny you can manage for months on end. You bypass the family vacations, you skip the expensive dinners, all because you have one specific, beautiful goal in mind. You want to give your kids an experience they will never, ever forget. You drop over $2,700 on tickets, flights, and hotels to attend the WNBA All-Star Weekend. You do all of this for one simple reason: to see the pure, unadulterated joy on your children's faces when they finally get to meet their absolute heroes, the women they look up to, the athletes they emulate in the driveway every single evening. So you wake up early, you get the entire family dressed in their favorite gear, and you head down to the convention center. You stand in a massive, agonizing line for over 2 hours at WNBA Live, shifting from foot to foot, clutching jerseys and basketballs, eagerly waiting for that one magical moment. And then, nothing. The superstars you sacrificed so much to see, they don't even have the basic decency to show up on time. They finally stroll in 40 minutes late, barely look up, hastily scribble their names on a few items for exactly 10 minutes, and then vanish back behind the curtain, leaving your children completely shattered, empty-handed, and in tears. This isn't some dramatic, hypothetical nightmare fabricated for YouTube views. This is exactly what allegedly unfolded at the most recent WNBA All-Star Weekend. It is a shocking display of entitlement that exposes a deep, uncomfortable truth about the current state of women's basketball. And while some of the biggest names in the sport were apparently too hungover from a wild night of bumping, grinding, and partying at the club to fulfill their basic contractual obligations to the very fans who pay their salaries, one single rookie was quietly carrying the entire league's reputation on her back. Her name, of course, is Caitlin Clark. If you think this is an isolated incident, you are completely out of the loop. The internet is absolutely flooding with heartbreaking testimonies from fans who felt completely scammed and disrespected by the players they idolize. Just listen to this devastating first-hand account from a parent who attended the event and witnessed this absolute disaster unfold.
A few players actually respect the fans that spend their money. We attended WNBA Live and waited in line over 2 hours to meet a couple of the top name athletes. They showed up 40 minutes late, signed autographs for 10 minutes, and left. This happened several times throughout the weekend. My children were in tears after
waiting for hours, showing up 40 minutes late, signing for 10 minutes, leaving children in tears. Let those words sink in for a moment. In what other professional sports league on the face of the earth is this considered acceptable behavior? If LeBron James, Steph Curry, or Anthony Edwards pulled a stunt like this, they would be absolutely crucified by the mainstream media. ESPN would run segments on it for a week straight. But in the WNBA, it seems to be par for the course for a specific clique of players who firmly believe the world owes them everything, while they owe the fans absolutely nothing. But amidst this chaotic, disrespectful display of pure arrogance, there was one shining exception. One player who completely understood the assignment. One player who recognizes that without the fans, the massive TV deals, the million-dollar endorsements, and the private chartered flights simply vanish into thin air.
After waiting for hours only to be turned away. To be fair, there were a few players who showed up on time to everything. Caitlin Clark, in particular, was punctual for every obligation she had. She gave away her shoes, signed autographs, hugged fans, and competed hard in the All-Star game, where we bought 6 tickets at over $450 each, more than $2,700 for our family to be there.
Caitlin Clark wasn't just on time. She was completely present. She was engaged. She gave away her shoes, she hugged the fans, she looked them in the eye, and she signed autographs until her hand literally cramped. She competed fiercely in the All-Star game, proving to the entire world that you can be an absolute killer on the basketball court while remaining a humble, decent, and grounded human being off of it. She didn't act like she was doing the fans a favor by being there. She acted like it was a privilege to meet the people who support her. So, this begs the million-dollar question that the league desperately wants to ignore. Where exactly were the other stars? Why were they rolling out of bed, completely unable to meet the fans who flew across the country to see them? Well, if you dig just beneath the surface and look at the footage floating around from the night before, the picture becomes crystal clear. And quite frankly, it's humiliating for the league's image.
Secondly, Paige was out here doing this. This is what the WNBA All-Star Weekend was. A bunch of lesbians at the club grinding on each other, taking off their shirts, hooping and humping, as W360 would say. Humping and hooping, as CJ So Foolish would say. This is the image the WNBA wants to promote, and that's why they hate Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark's not—
While eager families were resting up and preparing for a wholesome weekend of basketball celebration, players like Paige Bueckers and several prominent WNBA veterans were reportedly out at the club, bumping, grinding, taking their shirts off, and partying until the early hours of the morning. Now, let's be perfectly clear so nobody twists the narrative. Nobody is saying that adults can't go out and have a good time. Nobody is demanding that these professional athletes lock themselves in a monastery when they are off the clock. But when your late-night clubbing directly interferes with your professional obligations the very next morning, you are crossing a massive line. You are no longer just having fun. You are actively disrespecting the sport, the league, and most importantly, the hard-working fans who make your lifestyle possible. Let's talk specifically about Paige Bueckers for a second. This is a player who is universally beloved by the media, constantly hyped as the next big face of women's basketball, and handed massive endorsement deals on a silver platter before even turning pro. But what happens when it's actually time to do the gritty, unglamorous work?
We went to WNBA Live all 3 days. I recall Paige being late to her appearances, but I'd guess most of it was due to how many appearances she made. She had a 1-hour meet and greet for DoorDash, then an hour for Ally back-to-back. She was late to both, and that was a handler. So you're late to both, not on time to one. You're doing your thing, you're staying late, you're engaging, and then you're late to another. No, you were late.
According to direct reports from attendees, Paige had scheduled, highly publicized, contractual 1-hour meet and greets for massive corporate sponsors like DoorDash and Ally. These aren't just casual fan hangouts. These are major corporate obligations worth hundreds of thousands of dollars to the league. They were scheduled back-to-back, and yet she was reportedly late to both of them. Let that marinate in your mind. You have a professional handler. You have a strict schedule. You aren't just running late to your first obligation because of bad traffic. You are showing up late to the first one, staying late, and then completely disrespecting the time of the second major sponsor. It is a stunning display of unprofessionalism that reveals a completely warped sense of reality. And sadly, it wasn't just Paige. The absolute disregard for punctuality and professionalism seemed to be a league-wide epidemic during the entire All-Star Weekend.
You take another look. We were at WNBA Live Friday and Saturday. Almost everyone was 30 minutes late minimum. It was crazy. Caitlin was on time for her stuff. I also read that she was one of the few that both turned.
Fans furiously reported that almost everyone was a minimum of 30 minutes late on both Friday and Saturday. It forces us to ask a very serious, very uncomfortable question about the actual identity of the WNBA right now. Is this a premier, top-tier professional sports league that demands excellence and accountability from its athletes? Or is it just an exclusive, glorified college sorority where the popular girls do whatever they want, whenever they want, without facing any real-world consequences? Because right now, a massive portion of the league is leaning heavily towards the latter. They are screaming from the rooftops for chartered flights. They are demanding NBA-level salaries. They want the prime-time television slots on national networks. But they completely refuse to put in the grueling, unglamorous groundwork that actually builds and sustains a profitable professional league. This kind of toxic entitlement doesn't just hurt the everyday fan. It actively destroys the business infrastructure of the league. Corporate sponsors and business partners are not going to continuously pour millions of dollars into athletes who treat their brand activations like an annoying afterthought. We are already seeing the massive cracks form in real time, right before our eyes.
Says this girl, speaking about injuries, This girl effed me on my autograph exclusive with her with lies and deceit to trick me into letting her out of her deal. All-Star Weekend has exposed a lot of people. A lot of people. You got Paige and Heidemann and AZ Fudd and all these other players grinding on each other in the club, taking off their shirt. You have more players, Paige.
Just look at the former CEO of Leaf Trading Cards, who publicly took to social media to call out a player for allegedly using lies and deceit to trick him into letting her out of her autograph exclusivity deal. The entire All-Star Weekend inadvertently served as a massive, embarrassing exposé for the league. It pulled back the curtain and showed the world exactly who is actually serious about elevating women's basketball and who is just here for the social media clout, the exclusive parties, and the free drinks. At the end of the day, actions speak infinitely louder than words. You can complain on Twitter and Instagram all you want about respect, media coverage, and equality, but respect in the professional sports world is earned, not freely given. While the veterans and the so-called cool kids of the league are allegedly too busy getting drunk, grinding on each other in the club, and practically saying, "Forget the fans," Caitlin Clark is out there in the trenches, proving exactly why she is the undeniable, undisputed face of this franchise. She isn't complaining about the workload. She isn't making excuses for being tired. She is showing up, she is putting a massive smile on her face, and she is treating every single fan, whether they bought a nosebleed seat or a courtside ticket, with the absolute dignity and appreciation they deserve. The WNBA is currently standing at a critical tipping point in its history. They have been handed a golden ticket by the massive, unprecedented influx of fans, viewers, and revenue brought in almost single-handedly by Caitlin Clark. But if the rest of the league continues to act like a bunch of entitled, unprofessional divas who view their most dedicated supporters as an absolute nuisance, they are going to alienate this brand new audience faster than they ever imagined. The fans are finally waking up. The massive corporate sponsors are absolutely taking notes, and the stark, undeniable contrast between the ultimate professional who carries the league and the ultimate divas who take it for granted has never been more painfully obvious.